So, welcome to Race Stories, Marseille edition. You'll note the boats in the background. If you can see it, might be getting in the dark. That's the one mode of transportation we did not use on this trip. So, with that in mind, why don't we start with the flights out to Europe?
Okay, so this is a great story. So Sam calls me, and we're looking at flights, and we're like, he's on the computer and I'm on the computer, and so we figure out the flights that we're gonna fly, and we're like, all right, so we book them. So the deal is Sam and I are going to New York next. So our families are staying in France for a few more days. So our itineraries were different from their itineraries. No big deal. We book our flights, and then we know which flights everybody needs to be on the way over, and then we can figure out whatever flights they need to be on the way back, because mine and Sam's are the only ones that are going back. So we booked that, and
you called me because Jennifer had already decided which flights were most opportune for getting over here. So we knew, which I was supposed to know, which flights we were booking.
Okay. I don't even know how to respond to that. But we booked the flights. And so weeks later, we're like, hey, let's go ahead. I mean, you pick your seats when you do the flight, but we just picked random seats because we were like, whatever, we can change them around when we get closer. Well, we're getting closer, and so it's time to get seats where we're closer together. Hey, what seats are y'all in? Hey, what seats are y'all in? I don't have those seats on my plane. What flight are you on? We're on such and such flight. Well, I'm not on such and such flight. Okay. How did we do this?
The Billy Croziers and I were on flight number 1.
Note that Sam was on the same flight as my family. So if we're looking for where the breakdown in communication was, note that Sam was on the same flight as my family. So I don't know, I mean, you draw your own conclusion about where the breakdown in communication was, but
let's use words like alleged.
The good news about that is, like, so Jennifer, Sam's wife, is looking, and she's like, oh, well, I could just book the same itinerary and save like $350 per person. Well, there's 8 of us. And so I'm like, well, I mean, I'm all about saving $350 per person. Yeah. Let me see if I can book the same. So we did that, and how much ever it was, like $3,000.
Yeah, we worked it out to like $3,000 by rebooking ourselves on the exact same flight, canceling and rebooking. So yeah, check your Delta is the answer every so often, and you might save enough money for another European vacation.
And if you're wondering, $3,000 is enough for Jennifer to fly separately from Sam.
With 2 children under 5. I don't know where I'm going to pay for this, but that $3,000 is going somewhere. I'm going to need to borrow.
So that's actually how it happened.
$1,500 of your dollars.
Jennifer and Sam flew from Jacksonville to Atlanta. From Atlanta to Paris, they were on different flights, and then from Paris to Nantes, they were on the same flight.
So we got it worked out in Atlanta that I took my son with me, and so she had our daughter. So at least she didn't have 2 children.
Yeah, it was just her and one child, and Sam and another child. So, but goodness, as soon as I found out that you could rebook, I went back. We've got a bunch of flights coming up. And I went back, and I think I saved another $400 or $500 just on rebooking all my other flights. So that's pro tip. If you book something on Delta, you can go back and just click on Modify Flight and rebook the same flight. See if you can save some money. Thank you, Jennifer, for making that happen.
So we of course land in Paris, and then we take our flight to Nantes, and from I keep saying it that way. And
I think it's Nantes. Like ants, Nantes.
We have not figured out the right way to pronounce that entire city.
Nantes.
Nantes.
We're hearing from the audience.
Our producers are saying Nantes, and the only way to actually get to Vindy was by train, and so we got on the train with 18 dozen bags, and that's not quite an over-exaggeration.
So I'm pretty sure, maybe right about here, Sydney can show you how many bags that we have. Note that it's me and Sam and Megan all racing this race, so there's 3 bikes, and those bike bags are big. And then there's 8 of us total in the group. We tried to pack small, but I mean, with 3 bikes, there's no such thing as small.
No.
So you have to go get on a train, and we got...
To get from the airport to the train, there is apparently one bus that shows up whenever. It's France. Meh.
So we walked.
No, we took the bus.
What bus?
We took the bus there?
Yeah, we did. To the train station.
Yeah, apparently.
Remember, because we thought the train station was in the airport.
Yes.
And then we found out that
it's not even close.
Oh, it was a bus, and the lady was so nice to us because we came out and the bus was sitting right there.
So we walk out the door, the bus is right there. She's not in any big hurry. Lets us load on 18 dozen bags and 8 people.
I mean, the good news about buses is they always have a handicap area. And you can fit all kinds of stuff in the handicap area. I mean, bikes,
it's not
luggage,
handicapped people because we're taking all their space.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess if there's handicapped people on there, then you've got to take all your stuff off. But we've been lucky on all the buses we've been on have been able to. So, I mean, really, if I had to choose between a bus and a train, the bus is way easier to get on and off and transfer all our stuff. But anyway, take a bus to the train station.
So we take the plane to the bus to the train station to Vindy. Then we walk for, I don't know, what was that? 3/4 of a mile or so?
Talk about getting on the train.
And it was like freaking uphill the entire way there. They put the train at the bottom of the hill and the town at the top. Or I had that reversed. Maybe that was all the way home.
Anyway, the train, we had to, so you get on the train, and luckily we had booked reserved seats on the train, but you got to get your bags on. And
there's only so much time.
There's only so much time and only so much space to get your bags on.
Apparently Europeans don't have 18 dozen bags, and those who do are all going to Vindy with bicycles. The entire train was full of bicycles.
And the conductor's coming around, make sure that's not in anybody's way. You know, he was saying something in French, but basically what it was, hey, make sure that you can't block anybody's path with the bikes.
Carried a couple of ladies' luggage over our bikes because there was no way they were getting it through without hurting somebody's bike. So I met a really nice guy on the train because every time it stopped, we wanted to go stand by the door and make sure that nobody walked out with a new Specialized bike before the race. After the race, it's a free bike. There were a lot of Ironmen going out to Vindy for the race. So that train was full of bags and full of bikes.
But the pleasant train ride. I mean, if you ever have a chance to ride the TGV, then get your reserve seat. Had plenty of plug-ins, air conditioning. I mean, I'd rank it up there with any plane flight.
Much better than plane.
Other than you got to handle your own bags. There's no porter or whatever for any of that.
That's fair.
So we walk. We get to our place where we're staying. You got any stories about that?
No, there was nothing exciting there other than I assumed they were at some point horse and buggy or one-horse streets or whatever because they're all one-way streets and the sidewalks were about the same width as our luggage wide.
We walked in the street a lot.
Yeah, getting there was a little tough, but race day, you got any race day stories?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you wanted to, on the bike, the Garmin computer, I mean, it was a small one, but still, I mean, I thought that maybe somebody would turn around and come get it. I wasn't thinking that I would claim it as my own.
What's if you find a bot? Okay, so sorry. If you haven't watched the other video, Billy passes a perfectly good Garmin sitting on a pillow on the road with his name on it.
It was not on a pillow. It was just in the middle of the road. What we were talking about
rough roads.
is I had on the bike. Towards the beginning, I mean, within the first 5 miles, you'd see every once in a while some gels. I mean, I'm not sure I saw any water bottles or anything, but just stuff that falls off the bikes. Well, I saw glasses. I mean, people were dropping sunglasses. And I saw, what made me pay attention was I saw some sunglasses that looked like Megan's sunglasses, and she was in front of me, so I was like, oh, wonder if Megan lost her sunglasses. Which I caught up with her, and she had not lost her sunglasses. But anyway, as I'm passing stuff, I see a Garmin computer. I'm like, who in the world does not stop to pick up? We interrupt this broadcast to let you know that the battery went dead on the camera while we were filming, and it takes forever to charge, and we had other stuff to do. So we're doing this from a different location. So if the background looks different to you, well, it is. So we were in the middle of describing the bike stories or whatever that we had on the bike stories from France. So this is the shirt that we got from France. And I came upon, as I'm riding down, within the first 5 miles, I think I saw some sunglasses, and then not too far along after that, there was a Garmin bike computer, and I'm like, who leaves their bike computer? If it falls off, you got to stop and pick that up, don't you?
I mean, I would say if I came across a bike computer, that's now my bike computer. We're going to stop. Leave the bike and come back and get the bike computer. Yes.
It took me a little bit to even realize. I don't know why I didn't stop and pick it up. I probably should have stopped and picked it up. I mean,
one day when I grow up, I just want to be rich enough to leave $150 bills on the ground. What are the rules there? I mean, that's somebody's Garmin. Will they come back for it? Or are you just
hoping that it's lost and found? I mean, I guess if you're a good Samaritan, you would have picked it up and you would have taken it to the lost and found.
If I'm stopping my race, I'm no longer a good Samaritan. We're racing. If it's a ride, it's a ride. Help the guy out.
We've stopped and helped people with flat tires before. There's no difference.
Yeah. They were handing out free flat tires. I took one.
All right. Speaking of flat tires, did you see any flat tires in France? I know I saw at least a few. I don't know what it is with people in flat tires. Have we just gotten lucky with no flat tires?
And thank you for that. Yeah. Yes.
There's gonna be a flat tire on
next week's race. Curse brought to you by that guy. Yeah. So no, we've gotten really lucky.
We're not pumping our tires up to 130 pounds either.
Also true. That's the lesson here. Some of the lesson here is, for our European friends, 6, not 7. For our American friends, somewhere between 80 and 90 seems to be about the right PSI not to be blowing your tires. But yeah, we've gotten really lucky so far, and I hope we continue to get lucky. But
So on the bike, my only other story that I know of on the bike was it took me forever to catch Megan. Forever. It was like mile 35 or 36 or something like that.
She was worried about you.
I know. She thought I was dead. And then she was wondering, I wonder if they'll tell me if he's dead. If he's just injured, I'll probably go ahead and finish the race. But if he's dead, should I? Anyway, we'll let Megan tell you that story if you see her in person. But for me, I'm sitting there, and I ride next to her for a mile. It was about a mile that I rode next to her, and just talking. Her watch had broken, and so she didn't know where she was. She didn't know how fast she was going. She was doing great, but she just kind of was just riding, not really realizing, how fast she was going or where she was in the race. But people kept coming by me and saying stuff. And I had no idea what they were saying. I mean, I really don't. And I was just talking to Megan. I think maybe they were telling me to move out of the way. I mean, I don't think we were blocking the road or anything.
No, they had those roads shut down.
I mean, we weren't really drafting because we were side by side. So I don't know. Maybe they were just saying go, go, go. I don't know what they were saying. But they were when you're in a foreign country and people are saying to you on the bike, you just whatever. You just smile. Thank you. You got any bike stories?
So I come out of the swim and I see Megan. So I caught Megan somewhere on the swim.
Oh wow.
So she was at her bike as I'm walking up. So I've changed. I've gotten ready to go, And I'm going to show off a little bit, just take the old flying run out of there, except, it's pretty crowded in transition.
It was very crowded in transition.
So I decided I'd pop that bike on one wheel and just get on through there. Now, our bikes have a reservoir on the back.
Are you dumping out your fluids?
Every bit of it. Suddenly, I feel something wet on my leg, and I look down, my bike's dripping, and I look back, and there's this drip, 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 drip splash. So I made fun of Billy because he didn't have any. We had to look forever for Gatorade, and he had nothing going out there. So I had brought my own nutrition. I had done all of the right stuff, and I dumped
it all out.
2/3 of my nutrition.
Luckily, it was overcast and not warm that day.
Yeah, and the stuff on the bike course wasn't that bad.
Really, I never had any of it. But
so just adapt to overcome and keep on going. So I went back and grabbed my water bottle and at least squeezed, so I had some fluids in there. I keep that reservoir plus one water bottle is enough fluids for me for the entire bike ride. Generally, I like to get a water or whatever they're handing out along the way, but as far as nutrition and salt and all that stuff goes. So this time, chanced it. So that was my first big mistake.
Any other bike stories?
So nothing else really exciting. The speed humps we covered, man, those things drove me crazy. But you would come, as you're coming up to a town, there would be, it was like a 45 incline. It was fairly sharp.
Short.
But maybe I'm looking at the bed, and it was maybe raised up the height of the bed in total. So it wasn't very high, and it was just very long. Like you were slowing down for the whole town, and then they would drop you back down to let you know that you were on the road again or whatever.
It was basically like an elongated speed hump.
Yeah.
So if you're in a car and you're driving over, you hit it, and then you drive over it, and then you go back down, and they're just letting you know to slow down.
But
so that was frustrating.
For a bike, it was just, I don't know. But the towns were cool again.
You had people cheering in the corners, saying whatever, go, go, go in French. I don't remember what it was.
LA.
Maybe that's what they were saying to me when they were all passing me. Like, what are you doing, bro?
I learned all the cuss words before we went over there, and I didn't hear any. So
Well, you must not have been making.
I never got cussed out.
I did see somebody that had wrecked on the side of the road. So Megan was worried because I hadn't caught her yet that I was dead. Well, every time I see somebody wreck, I'm like, because Sam's always in front of me on the bike. And so when I pass, there's some dude on the side of the road covered up in an emergency blanket. I was like, I wonder if that's Sam. Nothing I can do about it. Luckily, when I got back to transition, his bike was there, so it wasn't Sam.
That's the standing policy is, and I joke about it every time, you keep going. There's nothing that you're going to do to help the other person if there's an ambulatory service there.
Yeah, there was already medical there. If it was just somebody on the side of the road, I would have stopped and helped them.
But probably just kicked him and taken his garment.
No,
maybe. I don't know how that.
That's probably what it was. It was probably the dude that had lost his garment and he didn't know where he was.
So you asked me after the race if I'd seen the guy crash. I was like, man, there was I saw a bike in the roadside ditches were pretty severe. So if you started daydreaming at all, you didn't want to go off in those things. So I had seen the bike and I'd seen some people there, but I never saw a guy. So apparently he was a little roughed up.
Yeah.
But no, the towns were really cool, and the people were amazing. You had the band or whatever it was. It's like a couple of old guys from the town. One of them had an accordion. I think there was a bass. There was just some eclectic.
I don't know what they were playing. But it was probably like top 40 in France or something. It was just music.
But it was nice. Those bikers were serious. They're just not. And then we're doing a race, and I think everybody else is racing, and we're doing a ride. And so, we're not taking it nearly as seriously as people are. But, that was fun.
All right, so you get off the bike. You got any more bike stories?
No.
Get off the bike onto the run, So in our other video we described the run, and you ran from transition a long way to get to the three loop course. I think it was a 3 loop course. Was it more?
Yes, three loop course.
Yes. And part of it was running over the sand, and you rode it, and it was soft sand. I mean, it wasn't like sugar soft. It was like just like it had been run through a whole bunch.
Yeah.
So I was glad that it was only one time that you had to do that, and then you got out.
Yeah, you got on that road and then saw the turnaround. So you didn't. There was no second run on it.
Yeah,
you
didn't have to sit there and think about it the whole first lap. Oh, I got to run over that again. You knew right as you came up the steps and got on the kind of circular path. So that didn't like the sand, but was nice that was over with. One thing, I'm not sure that I have great run stories. My most vivid memory of the run is the number of people who stopped on the side of the course to pee. And I mean, I don't know how many porta potties they had there, but it must not have been enough, because I think it was just a regular occurrence. So in the city part of it, in the town, people weren't peeing there, but you kind of went into this little park area, and you went like around this lake. And the first part of the lake, the ocean was on one side and the lake was on the other. So but then the second part was pretty isolated, and there were just kind of woods, and people would just go off in the woods. It wasn't like it was one or two. It was enough for me to. That's a lot of people that go pee in the woods. Did you notice people peeing in the woods?
Not apparently. You were around the peeing.
I must have been more observant or something. I don't know.
Probably.
You got any run stories?
Let's see. I did that. I did the first loop, and then caught up with Megan on the second loop. But
it was her first loop.
It was her first.
Okay.
And so we ran those 2 loops together. I was so happy not to have to do another one. Sorry, Megan.
Or Megan. She keep going.
But some of those people were fun. There was a dude with a Ironman or a 70.3 Austin hat. I was like,
okay.
Oh yeah, man, I did that race. And of course he was French, but spoke English. He said, yeah, man, they canceled it. I did it the last year. So what year did you do it? And I don't remember what it was. I was like, oh yeah, I did it that year too. So we were together in Austin, and that race was pretty awful. Man, I didn't know. I knew they didn't do it anymore, but I never wanted to race it again. So.
Leave it to you to find somebody in France that'll talk to you on the run. For me, the only English I heard was every time I passed, family, and they what? I don't know. People would say your name, William.
Oh yeah.
Allez
Samuel.
Yeah.
They were very friendly. Yeah, that was actually really cool. The town, they were eating lunch and cheering for us. They really showed up. I was impressed. What else I had? So I'm talking to Megan, and it's hot. We're suffering. I was like, so this was from the Normatec guy. So wisdom from the Normatec guy.
Okay.
Was under all of that pain is an entirely new level of pain for you to find. So when you're really hurting and you dig deeper, there's just more pain up under there, but it makes the upper levels of pain not seem so bad. So I'm telling Megan, let's keep going. You're doing great. And I say it, and I get this. Oh, I love that. And she's British or Australian running by us.
The Normatec guys from New Zealand, so maybe that's a common saying there or something.
Oh man, so that was a fun run. The people were a lot more talkative. Maybe I had just gone slow enough that we had gotten rid of all of the athletes.
I didn't have a single person talk to me, which I don't try to talk to people, so
yeah.
I know you do.
Swing at every ball. Eventually, you're gonna hit home run, man. Yeah. You just.
You had a lot of strikeouts too, though, right?
Hey, don't offend me.
Oh goodness! All right,
oh, man.
finish line had a the finish line shoot was good. The post race stuff was kind of weird. Didn't like that. We did that in our other review. But any other race stories you want to talk about?
No, I'm drawing a blank.
All right, so this was in Les Sables d'Olonne, or something like that.
Yeah, you obviously took Spanish in high school.
Les Sables d'Olonne.
D'Olonne.
Okay.
Yeah, Les Sables d'Olonne.
Okay. Anyway, that's the city. Is Vindy like the state or something? I don't know.
County.
Whatever. That's where we were. So how long we weren't there for another day or so.
Yeah.
I mean, cool beach. It was a little beachy town. And then we went to Marseille. Got any Marseille stories?
Oh, we got a few Marseille stories.
So Marseille is the second largest city in France.
That's what we were told. Yeah.
You might check Google on that. I don't know. We were told that it was the second largest city in France. It is on the Mediterranean.
Correct.
And this was on the Atlantic.
Correct.
Okay. So we swam in the Atlantic. Went over to Marseille. Swam in the Med. Speaking of swimming in the Med, so in Marseille, they have. Well, I don't know, the beach that we went to, compared to any beach you've ever been to before, was small, right?
Yes.
I mean, it was a pretty small.
Small
compact.
would be a very generous word. It was fairly deep. They had a lot of sand, but it was buildings, beach, buildings.
I mean,
that was
100 yards.
No,
You don't even think it was that much?
Wider than that, I'd say.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
Anyway, it was enough to where you could
I
throw a
swim
rock
back
from
and-
one side to the other,
Yeah.
no problem.
Maybe 250 or so, because I swim.
Yeah,
out
but that was
front.
I think that was kind of when you went out, right?
Could've
Because you
been.
had the little point.
Could've been.
Anyway, at the beach, so we're walking out. So Sam and I have to tell you about the morning run. He wakes me up the morning when we get there. But on the run, we go by this beach so we can kind of find out where it's at. And they have this I don't know, poster. It wasn't a poster. It's like a sign, I guess. Anyway, it showed all of these underwater statues that were out off the beach. So you swim out, and then there's these statues that are up under there. And it was actually pretty cool because there were no fish. The water was very clear. It was chilly. Clear. It was cold water. But yeah, I mean the statues were the only thing to see. But you could kind of swim down and see it. I mean it was all kinds of weird, different stuff. But I don't know, maybe 20 of them or something. I don't know. It was a bunch of them. I didn't see all of them. But they were maybe 25 feet deep or so. So you could get down there if you held your breath. You could get down there and kind of look at them for a second or two, and then you had to come back up. But it was enough to where you could see. I mean, there was like a tree. There was like a scuba diver. There was a
polar bear.
Yeah, a fish. There was all these people holding these cannonballs, which was kind of weird. I don't know. There were a bunch of different statues, but that was actually kind of a pretty cool thing because for us it got us some swim time, so we got to go out there and kind of practice swimming and it gave you something to do at the beach. The beach was crowded. There was a bunch of people there.
Yeah.
So that's my Marseille beach story. You want to tell us about the Marseille Run Story?
So we're starting to get into the later part of the season. We've got doubles on our schedule. Yeah. Ambition. So we're starting to work in more run, trying to get ready for what we're about to get hit with. So hey, we're in Marseille. We've had a couple days of rest. Let's.
We had 1 day of rest, and it was the only 1 day of rest was on the train the entire time. We were on the train. On multiple trains the whole day.
Did you win the race? Because obviously you took a rest day then if you weren't winning.
I did not come close to. Although I did do better in this race than I did in the challenge Austria. I finished in the top 2/3 of this race instead of the top 90%.
That's fair. I was not in the bottom of my age group this time. That was nice. It was a refreshing change. So hey, especially when we're in foreign countries, I love running around and being able to explore. It's generally quiet in the morning, and you get to go see stuff.
I like that too. I do. I mean, this was like our recovery day run or whatever. It wasn't supposed to be a hard run.
So we were going to take it easy. This was going to be an easy run. And hey, they have their own Notre Dame, which Sydney will have to put in a picture. Doesn't look like any cathedral I've ever seen on the outside before. It's very interesting. It was super cool. If you get the chance, go see it. But meanwhile, I'm looking at my Strava or maps or whatever, and we're here, and it is, 2 miles away?
I don't know.
Not super far.
Did you even bother to look at the topography?
No, I've never once looked at topography, ever. And to be fair, holding it like this, wasn't that bad. So we come around and turn the corner, and there's stairs. And then we start looking up in the street that we have to run up. It just goes like that.
And I mean, to see the topography of this run, you just have to look up.
Yeah.
And if you look up, you see this golden Mary holding a baby Jesus. I mean, that's literally what it was. It was a golden statue of Mary holding baby Jesus on the top of this cathedral.
On the top of the highest hill.
You just
in Marseille.
look, and it's up there.
So our condo, the place we were staying, was literally, you walked out the ocean, walked out the door, and there was the port right there.
Sea level.
So we were at the bottom. You could not get any lower, and we went to the top on our nice easy rest day. So it was what was it, like a click and a half rise? It was a steep, like, actual rise inside of maybe 2 miles. It was a lot. So when we get to the top, we are covered in sweat. It's gorgeous. The views are so pretty. We'll put in pictures. We won't do anything. Sydney will.
Thanks, Sydney.
But it's unbelievable. But the picture of us is just, we're dripping sweat, and we're only like a mile and a half into our run. And so then we've got to go down that joker. So we at least found a little more winding roads down.
We end up in this park, and first we straight out of the cathedral, we're running down this like dirt path that people had made, and it was kind of cool. There was some like underground caves. I wonder if that was their catacombs or something. I don't know. Anyway, we end up in this like city park or whatever, and we're kind of running around the park. And I needed to use the restroom, but the bathrooms were closed. And I was like, So we're like, all right, well, let's go down. We'll go down and this like zigzag and get out. And so Sam's looking, and he's like, is that gate at the bottom unlocked? and I'm like, I don't know. But we're already in the park. I was like, well, let's just go try it and see. And he's like, we're gonna have to go back up this hill.
It's a switchback hill down to this gate, so you can kind of see it down there. And the question is definitely raised because it looks locked.
So we're jogging down there and not in any hurry, and we get down to the bottom and it's locked. And we're like, huh. So we turn around, and as soon as we turn around, here comes this little moped. Everybody in France is on a moped. I mean, that's or like Vespa or whatever. I don't know whatever they call them over there, but it's the security guard, and he's coming down there and like the gates. Yeah. Worked out just perfect.
Got really lucky. So we explore. That was where we found the beach, but on the way we pass the fort.
Oh yeah.
So it's a five-sided, like a traditional. It's just an old fort. So cannons and whatnot style fort.
I mean, it's a port city, and so I mean you get that likely they needed to defend the city, and this would be a way to defend the city, right? I mean, this is typically where you would find a fort in one of these port type cities.
So we're looking up.
Then you look at the sign.
Yeah, the history of the fort. Mostly it was used to keep the government safe when the people of Marseille revolted, which apparently was a common occurrence.
So they built a fort inside their city because the people kept overthrowing the government.
That's hilarious. Oh, man. So, yeah, watch out, sometimes from without, sometimes from within, you just never know. Yeah, that was hysterical.
All right, so we end while we're in Marseille, Jennifer, I don't know who found the Tour de France.
Jennifer had.
Yeah, all right.
Was excited.
So we're like, hey, we're in Marseille. Well, on this one day that we're here, the Tour de France is like 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
Why would you not go see that? Well, I don't know, because it's 30 minutes away and you got to hop on a train and, whatever. But I'm like, whatever. When you're in Rome, do like the Romans, right? So we're in France. Let's go check out the Tour de France. We hop on the train. It was just, it wasn't a nice train. Mm-hmm. It was, was it 30 minutes away? It was 30 minutes away on the fast train. I think it was more than that on the other one. Anyway, we get there, lunchtime?
No. We left pretty early.
Did we leave early? Anyway, we get there, and so Sorges, S-O-U-R-G-E-S, or something like that is where it was, and we see it. All of these support vehicles. I hadn't paid attention to any of this stuff. Well, it turns out that it was starting in that, I guess it ended in that city the night before.
No, ended somewhere else, and then they drove over and started this.
And it's starting in that city today. See, I still haven't done my research on this. So it ended somewhere else, and they drove there?
Yeah.
That's kind of wrong, man. They don't ride their bikes there?
It's not it's a Tour de France, not necessarily a continuous Tour de France.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, they were starting in this city, and the number of support... the TV does not do it justice. The number of support vehicles for this race is insane. We decided that I think it was 3 support vehicles per bike. It was at least 2, maybe more.
Easily
it was,
2 to 1
it
more.
wasn't how many bikes per support vehicle. It was how many support vehicles per bike. It was that many. Support, TV, media, whatever,
yeah.
all of the stuff. But it was hundreds of vehicles and vans and all that, and they were all kind of lining the road, and which kind of made sense because when the race finally started and we got our 5 seconds of seeing they weren't even actually going that fast, but the support vehicles kind of got out of the way, and then the bikes came through, and then they had a ton more people behind them, so that was pretty cool. I think Sam actually we were on an area where we were trying to find the shade and move with the shade because we stood out there for probably an hour or two waiting on the bikes to come by. They threw out all kinds of stuff. We got hats. We got the little paper fans.
Yeah.
I think they got some soap.
Bananas?
Yeah, bananas. Yeah, it's like they were trying to feed the village. We were sitting there, and this one lady kept getting bananas from him, and he was out of his basket, and he was like, "You want the basket too?" Because she had like 20 bananas in her arms. So anyway, they gave out. There was a bunch of stuff.
That was a cool part. Was a lot of swag. So the earlier you got there, we saw people that had T-shirts looked like they had handed out. That was really cool.
But then, did your head make it to the official Twitter? Is that what it was?
Yeah, we think. Okay. It's got a little blurry in the background, but you notice it because it's big head.
I think you noticed it just because it was the white on that hat. Yeah. But anyway, that was pretty cool. And then we're heading back, and you've got to change trains. And our train was late. Was that, or we were trying to make an earlier train? Oh, so we're in the, as we get on. So Charlotte speaks enough French to get us by. And as we're getting on the first train, we're like, hey, our tickets are for a later train. Can we get on an earlier train? He's like, yeah, no problem. You take any train that goes where you want. As long as you have a ticket, you're good.
Which was good because the later train, we picked the later train because the earlier one was far more expensive. So
since you can hop on any one, then why wouldn't you hop on the other one?
Yeah.
So we hopped up. We got on that, no problem. We rode that to the station, but there was a delay in the middle.
There was supposed to be a delay.
Well, whatever it was going to be a super fast change from one to the other at this train station. So it was a super fast change. We hopped off and we're kind of running, and we get to the train and we hop on it, and we're like, is this one going to Marseille? Is this one going to Marseille? And of course, everybody's like,
Marseille.
We had no idea. So we hop on the train, and then it takes off. Well, it was the TGV.
I wanted to take credit for this.
It was the TGV, and that sucker's fast. And it was going to take us like 2 more hours.
Yeah,
to
we
get
were
home.
supposed to get in like 2, 3 in the afternoon, and we got in before lunch.
Yeah, that thing's fast. But I don't think we were supposed to be on that train.
In no possible way.
I mean, we're looking. There were tons of seats. I mean, you could sit anywhere. But when we rode the TGV there, and you had assigned seats, so we weren't real sure. Should we go sit in an assigned seat? Anyway, all we did, we went and sat in the food cart,
the bar car,
and ate some food, and then the train arrived and we got off. I mean, and it worked out perfect.
It was amazing.
I don't think we were supposed to be on that train then.
No, absolutely not. And we were supposed to be on the much slower one, like an hour later, and then it was going to take another extra hour to get
worked
there.
Worked out great for us, but thank you, France, for hooking us up with it.
So Jennifer actually told me what the actual fear was with the girls. Sometimes not having enough information is a good thing. There was a TGV there in Marseille. In wherever our connection was, that was supposed to go from there to Paris to Marseille. And she was afraid that we had gotten on that train. I was like, nah, man, the sign says Paris, wherever we were, Marseille. We're good. So when we asked Marseille and they said yes, then it has to be by default. Sorry, please excuse the phone.
Yeah. You can say, hey, Jonathan, you're on film, man.
Yeah, we'll call him back.
Okay.
All right. Sorry, man. I can put this on silent.
Technical difficulties.
There we go. All right. So that was the concern with getting on that TGV.
Was that we were actually headed to Paris?
Was that we could have been headed to Paris?
You get on the train and it takes off and it doesn't stop in very many places. So if we were going to turn around, we didn't really know.
There was nothing you could have done.
But
worked out great.
Yeah, did work out really good for us.
So.
You got any other Marseille stories?
The fish.
What was the fish?
Still hysterical. So we go to a seafood restaurant. And they handed us menus where it was in English,
which was perfect.
It was great, and so the I want to call her hostess, whatever, server.
Yeah.
She had her book in French.
She did not speak very much English at all.
Our book in English, so we would point to the item in English, and she would look on the corresponding French page. So it was a clever system.
Worked.
So ordering food for the kids, and they had a price fix menu, and so you had your appetizer, your main, and your dessert, and so let's go fish sticks. That would actually be a good thing for kids. It was like fried fish. Fried fish was the English version of this. I was like, fried fish, and I swear there was something that said sticks or something along with that line.
There was something that would indicate that what you were getting was similar to stuff that we get in the U.S. as far as fried fish.
We assumed. So, of course, to make the order, and it comes up, and they're really thin, and so you pick it up, and you can actually see the eye of the fish through.
It's the whole fish.
This little,
it's the tiny fish.
Needlefish, yeah.
Yeah, they're breaded and fried. And so I had some, and if you can get past the eating the entire fish in one bite, it really tasted fine.
I got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old.
They weren't crispy. They were kind of limp a little bit, and they had a dipping sauce. You could dip them in a dipping sauce and eat them. Was not quite what we had expected.
No, man. The French idea of dinner, because they don't open until 7.
Well,
and so as Americans, I'm going to get there at 5, and I want to get out of here by like 5:30 because I got other stuff to do. They had planned on us for that table for the night. That was your table for the night. So there's no rush from the kitchen. There's no rush from anybody. And so somewhere around like 10:30 or 11, I took the kids and went to bed. I don't know, you guys. When did you guys actually come back in from dinner?
Surely it wasn't 10:30 or 11. Was it that late?
It was.
Was it? Yeah, it was insane.
And we saw like 4-year-olds going to dinner.
So Sydney just said that we were seeing 4-year-olds going to dinner while we were leaving.
So culturally different, very interesting.
They were not in a hurry to get us in or out
that part of it was really nice.
Yeah, it's very relaxed. No, you have to ask for your bill at the end to let them know you were finished. It was So the little fish. So little fish and fried fish are not the same.
Not quite the same.
Be aware of when you're in France and you order fish, or fish as an appetizer, that you might be getting little fish that have heads on them and little eyes. And, it really was not gross. I mean,
I tried one.
You didn't bite into them and think, "Oh, that's gross." I mean, it tasted fine.
Yeah, there wasn't enough meat or guts or whatever.
I mean, bones.
Inside.
It wasn't like they were deboned, but it wasn't like they were
so
tiny. They were tiny little things.
Yeah, just a nose.
All right. Any other Marseille stories?
No. Then we go to leaving, right?
Yeah. And I don't know whose fault this was. Whether it was Delta's fault or Air France's fault. But so Sam and I are leaving together. So we get up and we actually had booked a van to come pick us up and take us to the airport, which was actually a good decision. It wasn't cheap, but
so that was what we got up. I want to make sure that we preface the story. We wake up at 3:30 France time, which is 10:30 East Coast America time.
10:30 p.m.
PM.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get dressed, get our luggage down because we were up on the second floor. Get our luggage down.
There are no trains running, so you have to have a car service take you to the airport when you're leaving.
It's
at
dark.
Those type of hours.
There were a few people out on the streets, but it was pretty dead. I mean, it's 4:30 in the morning when he picked us up, I think. And we're driving. Some of the roads are closed, so he has a hard time trying to figure out how to get us to the airport. But we make it, and it's not that big of an airport.
No,
which is important because our flight leaves at 6:37.
So we arrived 2 hours before our flight was supposed to take off. So technically, we were flying to De Gaulle. So that's technically a domestic flight, but we weren't real sure how French rules work. Get there early, be safe.
Something's wrong with our tickets. So we're flying Air France from Marseille to Paris. And then we're flying Delta from Paris to Atlanta. And actually, we're flying Delta Atlanta to Rochester, but that's a different deal. We just need to get from Marseille to Paris. Okay, no big deal. There's a problem with our ticket. Here, you stand over. And we're actually in the Sky Priority line, so we actually get the. I'm assuming we get the better customer service people.
Yeah.
I'm on one and Sam's on the other. And they couldn't figure it out, and she was like, "She's going to take care of both of y'all."
My lady had to literally leave, or
take care of both of us. So, okay, and I mean, we could go into the details of how long this took, but basically, we're sitting at our watches and we're like, they're going to be boarding, and I mean, I think they'd already started boarding.
Yeah,
this plane's going to take off. And we're not going to be on it. I mean, this was, an hour and a half probably at least of us just standing at the counter waiting for them to fix our ticket. Finally, some guy that we had never seen before comes from some back office that we had never seen before and says, "Okay, I got you fixed. What I had to do was I had to rebook your entire ticket." And we're like, "Well, why you do that like an hour and a half ago? We got to go. Are we even going to make this plane?" "Yes, you're going to make the plane." Picks up the phone, says, "Don't leave until these guys get on it."
They were quite literally holding the plane for us. I've never had that happen before.
So we're like, okay, so he gives us our tickets. We go.
Our bags are definitely not going.
I mean, the bags have to. So we have oversized bags because we have our bikes, and our bikes we have to have these because we're going to Rochester for another race. So I take the bike bags to the wonderful, huge scanner that they have in Europe in this little airport in Marseille that they do not have at the world's largest airport in Atlanta. They got to open your bag, but in Marseille, a little airport, they can go through a little conveyor belt and they can X-ray it. Anyway, I digress. I take the bags to that, and I'm like, he's going to make it, and they, it's their version of TSA or whatever. He's like, I don't know. Put him on there and let's go. So
Say la vie.
So I'm basically running. I'm walking fast over to the security line, and I get to the security line, and our mystery guy from behind the counter is over there. Come on!
Yeah.
And he walks us around everybody to go through security. And then he walks us around like 6 people. I mean, there weren't that many people in line, and I'm sure they were all in French going, what the heck are these guys doing? But anyway, we get through security, and he's pointing. Oh, our gate was right there.
Yeah,
you could see, we didn't realize it, but you could see our gate from the counter.
From the counter
where we had been
standing,
standing for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And it hadn't even finished boarding yet.
No.
I mean, there were still people getting on the plane, and we were like, okay, we made it. And then it took us a little while to take off, so I'm assuming that was because our bags had to get to the thing. But our bags made it to Paris
all the way and to New York.
And so we get to poor Sam. We get to Paris, and the night before. So each of us have were we gold by then?
Gold.
So a gold medallion for Delta, so you can upgrade.
Just means you traveled a lot.
The more you travel, the better the seats they'll give you on complimentary upgrades. So with international, the best you can get for a complimentary upgrade is Comfort Plus. And so I'm looking at it, and I tell Sam, I'm like, hey, they have some Comfort Plus seats. You can get a window. They had a couple of. I think they had 2 window Comfort Plus seats left. Well, Sam had already booked him a primo main cabin seat in the back, it's a seat that does not have a seat in front of it, so you can even air relax in that seat because you have tons of leg room. The downside is you can't stow your bag up under. But anyway, it's a primo seat, and he's like, yeah, I think I'm good where I'm at.
So I declined the upgrade and went back to my seat.
So I'm in Comfort Plus. He's in main. So we get to Paris. And we're going through, they're checking our passports and our COVID stuff or whatever to be able to get in. She was like, oh, each of you got a 1 cabin upgrade. I guess because of our issues in Marseille. So good for them. I mean, they made it.
Thanks, Air France.
Right. Yeah. So that made me upgrade from Comfort Plus to business class, not the pods. I mean, that would have been sweet if I'd gotten a pod, but it was business class. So this is the one that has like that leg rest that comes out, and it's these huge seats, and it's nice. Sam gets upgraded from main to Comfort Plus, which he didn't want anyway. So he told her, no, I don't want the Comfort Plus.
I kind of had to fight with that lady a little bit.
Yeah,
it's Comfort Plus.
She was like,
no.
You don't want the upgrade? And he was like, no, I don't want the upgrade. So anyway, so I got to ride in business class while Sam is riding back there in main, and I'm feeling bad because I'm on a row by myself. There's nobody else in this row. In fact, I mean, I don't understand why they don't do complimentary upgrades.
No idea.
They should, because those are nicer seats. But man, I had a great trip back. I mean, it was a 6-hour or a 7-hour flight, whatever it was. I had a great trip back to Atlanta.
So I've got my primo seat, and I'm not upset. In fact, the only disappointment out of the whole thing was you got more miles on the way back than I did because of your class upgrade. But I was the only person on the exit row. I mean, I was the only person on the exit row across the entire plane. This was a very empty aircraft. So
could you do the armrests up and lay down in the seat?
No, because my particular one had the things in the middle.
Because it had the TVs that come up.
Yeah.
Bummer.
So that part didn't work out.
So when they were giving you the exit row briefing, were you in charge of opening both exits?
So the flight attendants, you have to be looking at them and not playing on your phone. She's staring at me, and I'm staring at her because there's nobody else to talk to during this whole thing. She was really nice, so we talked. So yeah, that was the yes. I'm happy to help. Yes, I know I'm in an exit row. So that was funny, but yeah, it was. It was great, man. There was nobody on that flight. She said that their way out to France, it was pretty full. But then she had the 24 hours in Paris and then came back.
It was an Atlanta-based flight crew.
It was empty. So normally you have the same amount of staff per section. Mm-hmm. So business class just has less seats, the same amount of people serving it as the back sections. But since there's so few people, I got tons of service. And since I was nice to the flight attendant, they hooked me all kinds of stuff up. So Yeah, I ate and drank. So I can't really sleep on an airplane.
Yeah, me neither.
I think I got about 30 minutes while I was air relaxing. So we're going back to the States. That's what, 7-hour flight? So we have the flight.
Whatever, it was a bunch. It was a bunch of movies. I got to watch a bunch of movies.
Flight from Marseille to De Gaulle, a little layover in De Gaulle to Atlanta. And we had planned for a long layover in Atlanta.
Because we needed to make sure the bikes had gotten there, because we were going to Rochester for another race, and so the whole plan was that didn't need to be rushed, because you're doing the customs, you need to make sure your bikes are there, and then we'll hop on the plane and go. And there weren't really many options. Were there options there might have been some more options when we first started.
Yes,
but we get to Atlanta, we get through customs, and that actually didn't take very long.
No.
But the weather was bad in
Yeah.
Atlanta, and then we get to so you can take your baggage. Once you get your baggage off the plane, you go through customs. You actually don't have to take it back upstairs. There's actually a place where you can check it to go to your next destination, which is what we did. We had booked the tickets separately, so they weren't all connected. So that was actually a pretty easy. And we get up to the desk and we're like, "Hey, is it possible that we can make an earlier flight?" No.
Everybody
we're like,
is
we got like 4 hours.
Yeah.
5, maybe not even 5.
Yeah.
No, every plane is full, and we're like, all right, well, I guess put us on this one. And so sure enough, we look on our phones, and there were no seats.
Right.
I guess maybe that some flights had gotten canceled or moved or whatever, and everybody was trying to get. Everybody was trying to get to Rochester that night, I guess. I don't know.
So we're in Atlanta for 5 hours. So what plane did our plane take off? Like 10?
I don't know. It was like
8. Because it was, we landed at 3:30 or something, and it was
no, we
8
weren't going to
something.
land until 11. There was a rental car place that closed.
No, I'm sorry. We landed in Atlanta at 3:30, and our flight out was like 8 something. So
Okay,
call it close to 9, and a couple hour flight there.
So our flight arrived at like 11:03. Well,
Yeah.
the rental car place is closed at 11, and so I tried everything I could to be able to get a rental car by 11, and it wasn't happening. So we could get it the next morning at like 7. So our choices were kind of, well, do you sleep in the airport? What do you do? We'd already booked our hotel in, I don't remember what city it was, somewhere in New York. And so we went ahead and checked into the hotel because they let us check in via phone, even though we weren't going to be there that night. And we were like, all right, well, we could just sleep in the airport and we can pick up the rental car at 7 when they open. We got there and we were like, we can't sleep in the airport. All right, well, let me see if I can get us a hotel room that has like a airport shuttle. Well, if you remember from our previous videos, when I look for a hotel room, I sort by
He
price.
starts with, just go to the bottom of the list for price. Swipe up, swipe up, swipe
I
up.
make the lowest price at the top. Yeah, but you have to sort for this one. You had to have an airport shuttle because we didn't have any way to get around. We needed an airport shuttle to get to the hotel and to get back for the to get the rental car. And Motel 6 is what came up, and I'm like, hey, you want it? Let's get it.
Would this be considered New York stories?
Well, this is the end of the France stories, and so
Yeah.
we'll talk about. All right, so Motel 6 comes up, and I'm like, Sam, Motel 6, and this had like a 5 rating or whatever, 5 out of 10 rating.
There's no way it had as high.
It
as 5.
had a 5, I'm pretty sure, but normally 7. It's got to be
Somebody
7. 8 is actually pretty nice, but 7 is acceptable. 5 is what you're getting when you get in there. But Sam's like, I don't care, whatever you want. I mean, we're only going to be there for like 6 hours, 8 hours.
It's 11:30, so we've been awake at this point for 25 hours. We could have slept anywhere and tried to.
So we call him, so we book it. All right, we book it, and we call him and say, hey, airport shuttle, we need it. And he's like, all right, be there in 15 minutes. And 45 minutes later. I think it really was 45 minutes later.
That was forever.
This beat up minivan comes chugging along, and did it even have a sticker on it that said?
Nope. Not even a thing.
Not a magnet, no nothing.
Nothing.
Anyway. It was just like, Motel 6, and we're like, yeah, I guess that's us. You should have known at that point that's what you're getting.
This is not
I mean,
going to
it didn't really
end well.
matter. We were falling asleep on
man.
just sitting out there waiting on him. We hop in the van, and of course it's a beat up van with trash all in it. Didn't matter. It did not matter.
Not even a little.
You know, it was a cheap hotel. We knew what we were getting. He takes us to the hotel, unloads our stuff. We go into the hotel room, and it was, I mean, it had 2 beds. Did it have 2 beds? It had 2 beds.
It had 2 beds.
It had 2 beds. So I mean, we crashed. But
Billy-
in the meantime,
Billy goes to take a shower, and I go to plug in my phone. Huh. So, mind you, we started this day 2 days ago, technically, in Marseille. And we have wound up in Rochester, New York, after visiting, I mean, that's really the half dozen cities. I don't know where my backpack is. So it made it all the way to Rochester, because I was trying to sleep on it outside at some point. That's not good. Crap. So it's got to be back there.
he's telling me about it. There's nothing I can do. I'm like, I mean, this is kind of like
I left
the
my
old
backpack.
the old, you know, if he has a bike wreck on the side of the road, you just got to keep going because, I mean, so I just hopped in the shower. I was like, all right, man, you take care of it. There was nothing I could do.
So I go back to the front desk clerk, who is also our
Shuttle
driver. So yeah, you'd think you'd like lock up or anything. No, man, he just hops out. We go get in the car and
Joint in hand.
yeah. I think I interrupted his evening smoke break. Go back to the airport and we pull up to the place where all the bags were, and I don't see it on the bench. Oh crap! So I mean, there's nothing really. Oh, there's my passport. Like there's stuff. There's nothing of monetary value so much as chargers.
There's a computer in there.
There was a computer, but it's older, so it's not really. I mean, it's not worth much, but everything in there was important to shaving and being clean and me getting to bed. Chargers, all of that stuff. Crap. Go find a cop. Like, hey man, did you guys find a backpack? I'm glad you're here. I found Mr. Crozier.
How'd you know who that was?
Yeah, it was on my tag.
Yeah,
so apparently I had gotten a call somewhere and just missed it.
I have to get a luggage tag for my Air Relax because
it's definitely getting left somewhere.
And they'd never know whose it was.
He gone. So the police were very friendly at the Rochester airport. And it's a good thing you got here when you did. We were just about to tag it for evidence or something. Where it'd be a real pain in the butt for you to get out. Thanks, guys. So yeah, by the time I get back and we get back in bed, it's like 3:30 in the morning.
Oh
man,
we're all dying.
So,
but we got to get up and go get our rental car early. And
I don't think I showered. I didn't shower. So we get up the next morning.
We're going to close our story with this, and then this is the best part.
I get up to shower the next morning, and I grab a towel. I could actually see through the towel. It's not threadbare so much as just that thin. It wasn't. It was a cotton. I don't know what. I don't want to assume anything. It was a towel. But I show Billy. He's so tired last night. He didn't even notice.
I was probably still asleep while he was showering.
So we woke up at like 7 a.m. because that was the earliest possible time we could go get the rental car.
So we got to go get the same dude with the. It's not the same. Actually, not the same.
It's a new dude with the shuttle.
But yeah, it's a new guy working the desk. But the other dude, I guess, is just getting off or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're rolling our stuff out. They're fixing to put us on the shuttle. He's like, "What is that stuff, man?" Is that band equipment? And we're like, band equipment would be so much cooler than the bikes that are actually in these bags.
So that's my new response when people ask what it is.
Band equipment. So if you ask us what's in these bags we're rolling around, you're going to get the standard answer of it's band equipment.
Band equipment. Oh man!
All right, so stay tuned to our next story or our next video
of the greatest hotel I've ever stayed in my life
in Rochester, New York.